Good morning, exiles. Scuffed Havoc 616 here, aka Ziggy D. I've taken control of the stream. Welcome to the Path of Exile Community Races. We will be beginning in just a couple minutes. I am joined here today by none other than Rise QT. How you going, mate?
Hey, what's up, Ziggy? Thanks very much, and hello to everybody else.
Welcome, welcome, mate. I'm going to be hosting today because Havoc is traveling. He's hanging out, having some bromance time with Zizarin. But we have a special treat because Havoc will be racing today, so we can make fun of him.
Oh yeah, I like that implication immediately. Everybody, everybody always says that you have to take, when you grow a little bit washed up, you have to take the commentator route eventually, and Havoc's taking the opposite, so it's going to be especially interesting to see it, as he has turned from a commentator to now a racer as opposite to me. So, we'll see.
He's a washed-up racer it's a washed-up commentator turned racer. I see how things are going. Let's bring up the brackets here. We're going to be doing team races today involving picks and bans. It's going to be 2v2. We're going to be having DonTheCrown and Freeq versus Goratha and Waggle. These are going to be Vaal kill races, and there'll be a series of picks and bans at the race starts in 2 minutes' time. How do you think pick and ban 2v2 team races are going to play out, Rise?
This is always very interesting because you can see the confidence in the players, whether they are confident or not, actually, from the picks and bans. I know, having done one of these myself in the past, it was always a big tell. Because if you're the stronger player, you don't necessarily want to be banning the strongest abilities, right? Because you can use them to your advantage, and then the other team has to get rid of them because obviously that creates a bigger gap. But because of the picks, that's something to be considered too. Honestly, I have no idea who in these teams feels like they are the better team, but it's looking interesting so far.
So you're saying that banning something like Sunder or Leap Slam is the I'm nervous man approach to things.
Yeah, possibly so, I would imagine. Or maybe they're hoping that obviously the other team's gonna get rid of it, and then I don't know, if they want, they can eventually pick it later on too. I think the very first picks especially will be determining how this is going to be looking like.
It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out because people might have a plan in mind, but then the other team does something really unexpected, and well, it's difficult to practice if, and especially if you're practicing on stream and people were spying on you, then that might make things kind of interesting as well. Our picks and bans will be starting in a minute here. In about 1 minute, right on the hour, we'll be starting our picks and bans, and we'll see how this goes. I believe
Do we know which team is banning first?
We're gonna be deciding that, Rise. Each team should be picking heads or tails in the background. Hopefully, right now, I'm gonna tell them pick heads or tails. And what are you calling, Rise? Is it heads or tails? You call it for me.
I'm calling heads.
It's heads. Okay. DonTheCrown wrote heads in first, so looks like they'll be first pick. You guys first pick. I told each team to pick heads or tails, but that doesn't really work because both teams picked the same one. Whatever, it worked out this time. Doesn't matter. So we should be getting our first, I believe the rule set is first ban from Team 1. So we'll get to see what the bans go in my ban get listed here text. Ban 1, Team 1. Let's have a look and see what we get.
Well, this is probably gonna take a minute, or they're already going into it with a dedicated plan. Don did pounce on that pick really quickly, so I think he was prepared. Yeah. He was ready and waiting, just so they have the advantage in the banning phase. However, that does give them a little bit of a disadvantage in the picking phase.
Yeah, there's this, so the way it's going to work is it's going to be a Team 1 ban, then Team 2 ban, then Team 1 ban, then Team 2 ban, so back and forth. Then Team 1 will be taking their first pick, and then Team 2 will have a double pick to make up for the going second, losing the initiative, and then Team 1 will get their final pick. So trying to balance things out there a little bit. It looks like ban 1 has come in, and it's going to be Flame Dash, interestingly enough. What do you make of that?
I'm honestly a little bit surprised. Obviously, the movement abilities are the ones to go out first, but like I mentioned before, if I were to take my pick, I would probably bet on Goratha and Waggle, some of my favorite players, but Freeq and DonTheCrown have been practicing a lot, so we'll see. But to see them ban Flame Dash as the first mobility skill rather than Leap Slam shows a level of confidence that is pretty impressive.
I'm enjoying your analysis right now. Do you think we'll see both Flame Dash and Leap Slam banned here, and it'll just be no move skill rate? We get some Blink Arrow Archers or something?
I would imagine so, honestly. I think they're waiting for the tier 2 ban. If it's not going to be Leap
It's
Slam,
it's Leap Slam.
it's Leap Slam. Oh wow, okay. Well, this honestly so far has gone in a way that I did not anticipate. I mean, we do know that Waggle in particular does not enjoy the melee playstyle, therefore they might just rather go with their comfort picks over the maybe possible stronger solutions to their gameplay.
What about if just all the move skills get banned? Does anyone end up at with any advantage at that point? We see Whirling Blades banned next and Blink Arrow for the final ban, maybe?
Oh,
it's Blink
wow.
Arrow. It's Blink Arrow.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, honestly, when it comes, that is a telling factor too, because when it comes to this top end high level racing that these players have been displaying here over the course of the last weekends and so, yeah, mobility skills is really what creates the big gap between a good player and an amazing player. So the fact that they're going after the mobility skills initially, very interesting. Although I don't think the next ban's going to be Whirling Blades. We'll see.
This, I feel like everyone's banning. If everyone's banning move skills, then it's going to just come down to who gets move speed boots. So maybe they're feeling lucky, and they're like, "I think we'll get some move speed boots."
Possibly. I mean, one of the people always say Sunder this, Sunder that, but Sunder's biggest strength is the Leap Slam.
Yeah.
So, with that less attack speed modifier on the Sunder itself, players might find themselves in a bit of a pickle without the mobility.
Oh, I can't wait to see some pickling action. We're still waiting on that band 4 here.
They're
I'm
really
gonna give them
thinking
a
about this
countdown.
one.
3, 2, 1. Frostbomb. It's Frostbomb. Okay, the final ban is Frostbomb.
That's also very interesting to me because, again, Waggle, primarily known as one of the best Shadow players, if not the best Shadow players of all time. So to see him remove Frostbomb while Goratha being one of the better melee players, it seems like they're almost countering themselves, in my opinion.
We have our first skill pick, and that is Blade Vortex.
Okay, yeah,
So,
I can absolutely see that.
No Frostbomb, though, to go with the Blade Vortex.
Yeah, but there's a lot of options that maybe in another race you wouldn't necessarily see, but one of the stronger leveling options currently in the game is something like Frostblades, for instance. And if you're going to be kicking things off with a Shadow, planning to convert into Blade Vortex eventually, you might just play Frostblades for Act 1, and it should work out pretty good. The attack speed only really comes into play when it comes to mobility, and that's where a Duelist has an advantage, but a Shadow does a lot of damage with those Frostblades.
Yeah, what's the interesting thing here is that you can kind of divide things up so the AoE clearer that gets a good AoE skill can take advantage of it. Earthquake.
Wait a minute.
What?
A little bit of a curveball here. Everybody's confused.
I believe this is a Vaal kill. Well, I'm locking in Waggle's Earthquake.
All right.
He said Earthquake. The rules are he has to... I don't know what the implications of that
Mind games. Immediately the opposing team doesn't know what's going on. I mean, shows a level of confidence. I see Don is laughing on his stream. Interesting.
I have no idea what that means. Goratha picks Rain of Arrows, so that makes a little bit more sense.
Again, interesting. I believe maybe they've been watching something that we have not seen from the other players, because honestly, those are not the picks and bans that I anticipated.
No, this is definitely being a little unexpected. Players, Havoc just cited a rule. Rule number 14.11. Players must use their chosen skill on the final boss of the race.
Mm,
Waggle is quoting a rule back. 14.9. If a player selects a high level skill, they must immediately equip it once they reach the minimum required level of that skill. Oh my god. Waggle with the rule lawyering.
something's not right here, I think. Maybe there's been a little bit of a
He's
misunderstanding.
quoting the bylaws. I think that works. I think Waggle's pick is a high IQ pick.
Possibly. I mean, it doesn't necessarily lock him into anything, but it's a little bit tricky. Oh, is Don's stream offline, or am I having?
I think his power just went out, so we're still in the picks and ban phase, so he's alright. He has a chance of getting back in.
Perfect.
Freeq is a little unsure of the rules. Pick a skill to kill Vaal. Don't cheat like Waggle. Waggle's
Yeah,
a
we're
cheater.
going to have to make some adjustments here, definitely.
Very, very interesting. Yes, the bylaws are going to have to be edited, I think. Because
Yeah.
Havoc just got wrecked. The
Yeah.
rules lawyering there.
This is the
Glacial
thing when you
Cascade is the final pick.
Right. Okay. So we do have this little bit of a problem when you're trying to make rules for Path of Exile players. Turns out they're pretty good at theory crafting and figuring out their own rule set.
Yeah, I feel like the picks are just memes at this point. The bans are the only impactful ones, really. Maybe the picks aren't exactly going to come into play. So we're just waiting on DonTheCrown's stream to come back up. Should hopefully be up in a second.
Havoc did step in and has said that Waggle can't attack Vaal unless he magically gets level 28.
I don't think he can change his
Right.
pick. He's locked it in. He's locked in his pick. He just has to default attack. Default attack? I'll get a ruling there on default attack. Because he might have to help out with just default attack. Waggle may back
From the
himself
looks
into a
of it
corner
so
here.
far.
Freeq is, never mind I'm picking Sunder. This is not right. This is not right.
This is not
Okay,
right.
we're allowing repicks. We're allowing repicks. Since this is the first week of this, Havoc has stepped in and said repicks are allowed. Okay.
I believe Waggle would have to repick first.
Waggle would have to repick first. Yeah, he can get Sunder.
And this is why I thought maybe it would be a better idea to do this.
We're probably going to run into the second race in terms of timing here. That's alright.
Yeah, we're gonna have to set up a separate countdown for sure.
I'm going to play things a little bit fast and loose here.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew that it would go this way?
Yep.
We're just waiting on Waggle's
and
pick.
When you let PoE players figure things out, they always find a way to ruin it.
We are still waiting on DonTheCrown as well, since his power did go out. I don't know if that's a temporary outage or if that's a permanent thing. Otherwise, this
He did say that it's a temporary outage, yeah.
Okay, so hopefully he'll be on his way back then. So Waggle is taking Fire Trap, opting to not try and steal the Sunder because he had rights. He could have taken the Sunder if he wanted to, but he goes for Fire Trap.
Okay, interesting. Like I said, I can absolutely understand that, as attack speed and leap slam for Sunder are things that are immensely important for sure.
All right, so it looks like Don is back. I'm gonna see if we can just get a revised starting time because things went a little bit askew there with the picks and bans phase, going in unexpected ways with a bit of rules lawyering attempted. But what do you make of these final picks here? The Rain of Arrows and Fire Trap versus Sunder and Blade Vortex, with no Flame Dash or Leap Slam, Blink Arrow or Frost Bomb for the Blade Vortex. Huh?
Ooh, wow. This is definitely an interesting one. It really boils down to what sort of abilities the players will be using to lead up to that. With the Frostbomb ban, I definitely think we're going to be landing on either Frostblades or maybe a controversial Essence Drain pick, as you do miss out on that Onslaught here.
I'm all for the controversy.
Would be Great if we could get a separate timer that could be sent out to all players, possibly from Havoc, who's probably setting it up right now as we speak.
Don does appear to be back, so we are good to get set up. So we're just going to have a short delay before we start the first race, folks.
Well,
how does it feel to be on the casting bench instead of the racing side of things?
I mean, so far it's been interesting. Let's just say not much, but definitely having fun, as we do see that the players are finally setting in. Don is back, loading everything up, getting back into that Discord with Freeq, who's panicking currently, to his own fault, by the way. But honestly, when it comes to all of this messing up and whatnot, the players are just going to have to finish faster than ever, so that we don't land on the second race.
I think we'll be okay for the second race start. There's usually a few minutes in between. So in the top left we have Goratha as team 1, and we have in the bottom left we have Waggle as his partner, and then in the top right we have Poland, which is actually Freeq, and down in the bottom right we have DonTheCrown on team 2. So left is team 1, Goratha and Waggle, and right is team 2, Poland and DonTheCrown.
Absolutely. Let me just make the proper adjustments here real quick.
Looks like we are starting in just about 30 seconds with the revised starting time. Apparently Don is not here again. Might have had another power outage. I still see his stream though. It's just dying a little bit.
Yeah. It's having some issues.
I think Freeq is just in a little bit of a panic right now. Understandably so. Looks like Goratha and Waggle are off. Poland is off. DonTheCrown stream does seem to be lagging a little bit. I'm going to give it a quick refresh. And looks like he's just going to be a little bit delayed on his start. But I think we are basically officially off at this point.
Basically, almost officially off.
Unfortunately, we do not have a timer start from Poland. Has no timer. This has been a little bit of a debacle, I'm not going to lie.
So far it's been tricky, but we'll figure it out as the players get back into it. I'm sure everything will slow down, and Jamsa and Havoc behind the scenes can figure out the rest of it. As for us, we do have the Goratha on a Ranger, Waggle on a Shadow. We'll see if he's going to be picking Frostblades, and then Freeq on a Duelist, and DonTheCrown on a Shadow.
Who has still not started, strangely enough. Might be some confusion about the start times from Don. Not exactly sure how this one's gonna work out. We'll see if we get a bit of a ruling.
Yeah, we gotta have a ruling here, guys. Unfortunately, for a team race, for both the players to start off at the same time, it's pretty
important.
Vital.
Yeah,
it's kind of important.
Rather important. I can understand Freeq's slight freaking out at the start of the race here.
I mean, Freeq's going. He's got it. If anything, Freeq can carry it.
I think Don may not have been in Discord. It's possible the stream is delayed. I did just refresh it. I'll do a quick refresh, guys, just to make sure everything's synced up, and that's not the issue. Sorry for the flashbang screen. But we will be back. I would just like to point out that I have done an excellent job on my first day hosting this. The players are just testing me to the best of their abilities. I was very nervous taking over from Havoc. Havoc is very experienced when it comes to hosting these events. I was very nervous that I was not going to be able to do it properly. But I would just like to point out I'm doing well, I think.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's been your fault. Like I mentioned, the players have been showing a little bit of trickiness here.
We have a ruling from Havoc. If a player fails to start their timer correctly if they haven't killed Hillick, they may restart the race. If in a party play, the players should continue and will be timed by the hosts via other sources, so they are continuing. So I think we've just, unfortunately, for Team 2, we just have a big deficit for them to work back from, with DonTheCrown kind of possibly having a hard time helping out and contributing to his team being a little bit behind. Depending on how they divide up tasks, could still be quite helpful. Tell us a little bit about how team races work exactly. What's the difference between these guys just running by themselves versus running in a team?
Sure, for the most part, it's about splitting up and sharing resources, possibly feeding one of the players who is progressing a little bit faster than the other player. Obviously, some classes excel at Act 1, some classes excel at Act 2. The important part is the splitting up part. However, for Act 1 itself, there's not much to split up on. So our players are still in a pretty decent spot. Despite Dawn on a Shadow being behind, a Shadow is pretty similar without Frostbomb to a Duelist. So I'm sure that they're going to be picking up things here separately with our boy Freeq progressing, trying to get to Brutus as fast as possible, and DonTheCrown slowly leveling up and going towards a Quicksilver. As for the other players, they have already split up with Waggle going for Hellrake. I'm sure they've shared resources previously, trying to get a teleport. Maybe he's waiting. He doesn't have a teleport, and he's waiting for Goratha to now get to the submerged passive, pick up a
Is it
waypoint,
a
and be
unique I
able to
just
get
saw
in.
for Waggle down in the bottom left there? I think I did just see a
Ah.
unique drop.
Possibly. What's interesting to me is that they did their Hellrig separately, actually. Now that I noticed that Goratha's already got his Quicksilver, and they've actually done it completely separately. Typically, what a lot of players would do in this situation is, again, share resources. One player gets to the waypoint, the other player has a teleport, and they simply enter their teleport for Hellrig, at which point the player in the submerged teleports the other guy in. And then they just run ledge separately to see the highest score. But they opted to go for the less complicated strategy. We'll see if it's going to be hurting them in the longer run, as Freeq is also in Submerged Passage and currently on a good layout, so probably will be the first one to be getting to ledge.
Yeah, as long as DonTheCrown doesn't lag too far behind, he'll be able to split up and still do a couple of things in Act 2 to contribute to the team. But if he is too far behind, then he's not going to be able to split up and efficiently do those things. Like you said, sharing portals and teleporting people in. So when it comes to things like bandits splitting up, doing them at the same time, but then portaling them in just for the kills. All things like that can speed up team play a lot. So he just needs to make sure that he's there and ready to go when that sort of thing happens. So they'll be communicating over voice and trying to still kind of bring that together. And hopefully Don's late start doesn't cause too many issues for them. Yeah, when it came to that Hellrake choice, that was a little interesting because you can definitely opt for that portal scroll, but that does have a cost associated with it. It's 3 wisdom scrolls, which is otherwise an iron ring. So they might have opted for the iron ring instead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, the biggest thing about Act 2, which is when the team tactics will most likely be coming in full force, other than whichever player gets to Brutus first, the other player TPs in, is the fact that one player needs to go right and the other player needs to go left. Typically, the player to go right is the lower level player, and the player to go left is the higher level player, as Western Forest is the higher level zone. So probably that's a situation where, despite Don being slightly behind due to the unfortunate circumstances surrounding this race, he should most likely still be on a pretty good pace, and everything should work out in the end. As for a Vaal kill, you don't necessarily have to be that level. Even if one of the players results in a level 16, but he's done his progression properly, which should be the player who goes to the left, he should still be fine. I think they're just going to have a little bit less damage.
Yeah, as long as you've hit those quest requirements, you can be portaled in by the other player. Both players will need to be present there for the kill. But yeah, as long as you're ready to go in there, it's not too big a deal, and you can still contribute towards the kill as well to make that a little bit faster.
Yeah, I think the biggest contributing factor here is that, well, Don's probably pretty stressed out due to all of this stuff. You can see him shaking his head, getting a little bit lost in his submerged, but he's catching back up. As long as he's keeping up his level, Freeq can progress, and Don just joins him for the progression. If he gets out of Act 1 even on level 10, that should be absolutely fine.
A rough start like that can definitely put you on tilt a little bit, but if he keeps a clear head and and just plays smoothly, he can get there and still in time to split up and contribute towards that Act 2 clear, and the team still has a good chance. I would like to point out that Freeq is not letting this get to him and is absolutely zooming. He's been progressing really fast.
Oh yeah, and you can also see the difference in strategy. We're not necessarily sure what Freeq and Don have gone into the race with as their strategy, but for Goratha and Waggle, you can tell that Waggle is the one progressing, getting a pretty solid 8-minute prison while Goratha is primarily trying to kill mobs, level up, and they might be switching which player is going to be progressing past Brutus to Mervo later on.
It'll be interesting to see whether Freeq kind of stops to kill more stuff or tries to just do a runner then. What do you think will be the strategy in this sort of situation here?
Yeah, maybe they do feel like they have to settle for a little bit lower of a level overall. You can tell that Freeq is currently, despite having decent gear, running past a blue pack on the unique bow guy, also running past the pack on the valley. So that does indicate that he's trying to get to Brutus as fast as possible while Don's leveling, and maybe they're going to be switching after Brutus. Don does seem to be killing a little bit more than you usually would in Ledge, focusing on those mobs.
Yeah, a good point brought up by Chad is that if he's opted to go for Blade Vortex, he does need to use Blade Vortex if he wants to damage Vaal, so he'll still need to hit level 12 to be able to use that. So you can't kind of just try and run through and skip everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, despite Don has had a little bit less time, but we're not talking about 10 minutes here. This is about 2 minutes, so he will absolutely be able to get to the appropriate levels. Generally, for something like this, players will overall be just slightly lower because you don't get to kill as much. One player goes left, the other player goes right. You miss out on the entirety of the XP of the other side of the zone in Act 2. So there's definitely going to be progressing to go lower. It's just a matter of which player will be the one pushing the zones.
Goratha picked up a nice acceleration shrine there in his climb, used it to get XP, opting to really push that leveling there, rather than just running through straight to prison, using all of that acceleration shrine for killing. And Waggle, as you said, being the one to race ahead, is about to take on Brutus. Are we going to see him just teleport Goratha? Goratha did just log out, so he's just like, Waggle's like, I'm there, just go to town, and I'll portal you in. And he's dropping that portal, pre-trapping, waiting for Goratha to enter, and you're going to see
just
like
one
boss
player
tagging
entering
here,
the Brutus room. Yeah, this is overall a pretty great time. Honestly, a 10-minute quarter is pretty great. You could tell that they have, I believe, tagged them for one player life, although they're not really doing that much damage. But yeah, bringing in the other player, and this should be a really solid Brutus time if nobody dies here.
I don't think they got that tag because so in order to tag bosses, every boss is a little bit different, but you need to have one player in the zone and usually deal a little bit of damage to them. I don't think he dealt any damage before the second player got in there, so it was 2-player life, Brutus, and the fight did go a little longer, but still not too difficult for 2 people to deal with. And
yeah,
it
really depends.
Nicely.
For instance, for Vaal, if he's coming out of the ground, as long as you've clicked the apex, he's already considered tag, and you do not have to deal any damage to him. Same for something like entering the portal through Piety. But Brutus might work a little bit differently. But you can tell that both players, now having killed Brutus on a pretty good time, are progressing with Goratha getting that Dead and Doom RNG. Are we sure that this is Goratha playing?
Another acceleration shrine, right as he leaves the prison. Very nicely done there. Dead and Doom saying that Brutus does tag just when you enter the room, so as long as you've entered the room, it's tagged, so no need to deal the initial bit of damage for that particular boss.
There you go, absolutely. We can tell that Freeq is maybe getting a little bit of a frustrating layout. If you look at his screen, he's pretty much ran his zone perfectly, and despite that, due to the RNG, let's just say he gets to kill a little bit more mobs, and has now entered Warden's Quarter. Yeah, he's just getting a little bit more XP. You know, sometimes zones are laid out so that they're extremely long despite running them perfectly, just so you can get a little bit more XP and equip that movement ability earlier. However, they don't have access to abilities that we know of.
Nope. They've been banned unless we see some Whirling Blades action, but that seems highly unlikely as it is has some very specific and restrictive requirements that are a little bit difficult here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting choice from Don. He's already waiting in town. Setting up his MTX is absolutely crucial for the race, but the abilities that he chose to go for are Explosive Trap and Freeze Ball, so he's trying to keep up that onslaught while also having good single target. But
was that a death we just saw? I think that was a death we just saw from Freeq.
That was absolutely a death.
Having a little bit of an awkward time with Brutus.
So much faster. Wow.
Ouch, that's definitely going to hurt them.
Oh yeah, this is absolutely going to hurt them, but that was still a incredibly fast kill compared to the Waggle and Goratha kill that almost seemingly looked like they did not tag the boss despite it being tagged.
Yeah, that
Oof.
seemed like Brutus had a lot less HP, but maybe they just had a lot of extra damage there, possibly.
Oh
The
yeah.
explosive trap, is often pretty good single target skill, I guess.
Yeah, bow ranger early builds aren't necessarily known for their huge amounts of damage, and Waggle being stuck on just freeze balls, having that fire trap as his pick. We'll see. It is interesting, however, because Waggle has chosen fire trap, and from my experimentations in the past, fire trap is not that great. It's all right for AoE clearing. Ooh, Dawn dropping low. Ah, there you go, levels up. But when it comes to single target, Explosive Trap is significantly better. So I think overall, all things considered, unless Waggle and Goratha pull out some super duper secret strategy, I mean, from the pure skill selection, I think Dawn and Freeq have a little bit of an advantage here so far,
What I
despite
really
being behind.
what I really like here is with this group race, we're starting to see the differences between a group race and a solo race here. Waggle is actually farming and resetting Prisoner's Ledge there, Prisoner's
Yeah,
Gate. And reset the zone, looking for more loot, looking for more XP. He's just looking to build up the power while Goratha runs to Vaal, and he'll get in there and just help like smash through that fight.
oh, I see what's happening now. Waggle has a swap. I believe he's still using his early game dagger for that tool link, while in the general clear, he is using a freeze post to have that uptime. Goratha, dead.
Oh,
Wow,
dying
so
there.
many rips so far. Holy
Well,
moly.
that does equalize things a little bit then. So the
Oh, yeah.
team one gets the penalty as well. Looks like he went down to possibly some exploding squids there on top of the boss and a rare. So he's got a
Exactly.
jam-packed little section here in the Caverns of Wrath, I believe.
Yeah, this is really where the choice of strategy can shine because, yeah, in the unfortunate circumstances of possibly getting a layout in the Caverns of Anger or Caverns of Wrath where you can't just run through the zone or use the mobility skills, which players don't have access to, you will get stuck on those sirens, you will get slowed down, and the red little squiddy boys will blow you up. Especially since if you can't get past the unique boss fast, they can shotgun you under a wall with those fireballs.
Oh
That
yeah.
being said, he has made it to Merville with a pretty good time.
Yeah, so we'll be tagging Vaal here. You can see him getting a little bit of damage. I think some bosses you have to get past the energy shield, don't you? He's done that now, though.
This has been changed overall. It's been a
Ah,
little
okay.
bit back and forth. They have been changing that up, but most bosses tag as you enter the room nowadays.
Ah, okay. Very interesting. But that first phase Mervale going down very quickly, though, to the combined power of the two races. Just over. Just Gonski's second
Yep,
phase will go down in a real hurry as well. You can see Waggle left the zone while second phase was activating, so it could also be tagged as one player HP, minimizing the amount of health that it has so the fight goes just that much faster.
exactly. So you can see also that Freak unfortunately runs into a little bit of a dead end, but he makes it over to Cavern of Anger. Honestly, Freak's been a real trooper. He's been getting some bad RNG, but he's pulling through, and he's been playing a really impressive game so far.
Freaking Donna not that far behind. Like you were saying earlier, I
Hmm.
was not expecting it, but I mean they're doing basically the same thing, just slightly behind on that boss kill. Freak is heading
Yep.
to Mervale now. He's not too far off, and Don's doing the same strategy of farming in Prisoner's Gate. So they're really not going to be that far behind. And with the equalizing deaths, I mean, we'll see what happens in Act Two.
Yeah, that's going to be definitely the determining factor. The thing is that both Goratha and Waggle have had a very long history of being really the top group of racers overall when it comes to the party play. So they've got a lot of experience with this, but there hasn't been that many party races recently, and a lot of the rules have changed when it comes to tagging and also running different zones. So we'll be seeing how this turns out. You can tell that Waggle, for instance, already is farming quite a bit more as he will be the player that's going to the left, which generally means that he has to be farming a lot more because he will be entering a higher level zone a lot earlier. Typically, you want to be going to the right if you're a solo player, getting those levels so you've got a high enough level to be entering Western Forest and then progressing. But as Waggle has Goratha, that's going to be doing that for him, he's opting to XP and be high enough level so that he can run Weaver for the team.
See, first phase of Vaal going down for... I think Don may have just died. Was that a death there? Or did he log out just in time? I'm not actually
I
sure
believe he
about that
logged
one.
out just in time, possibly frantically searching for Freeq, trying to invite him. Freeq hits him with the invite, possibly has it on a copy paste, might have anticipated a little bit of a logout here. And yeah, they do take it down.
He gets in just in time for the end of second phase there. Looks like the streams are a little bit out of sync, but yeah, getting in time.
Yeah, unfortunately, Don did start off with a little bit of a problem, so if it is a little bit out of sync, you guys can always go off of Freeq's stream.
Yeah, I will try and refresh these guys right now, just to see if I can sync them up a little bit for you guys, but it's going to be a little difficult to get everyone synced up.
Well, this is quite impressive. I believe Waggle is only level 13 and already... Actually, Waggle is level 12 and already he's hitting Western Forest. So yeah, they are opting for the lower level strategy with probably Goratha primarily running most of the zones. So I think they did, with Goratha doing most of the active progression, I think they really did get hurt quite a bit by that Blink Arrow ban.
Yeah, that was a bit of an unexpected one. Act 2 is such an interesting act for team racing here. Like, there's so much to do in all these different zones. So how players divide up these, and whether they sync up the times well as well, whether they like hit the bosses, whether a player's sitting there idly waiting while the other player hits their boss, because they can't start a boss fight until the other player is willing to portal out and join them. So they want things both synced up and ran as fast as possible, which could be a little bit tricky to do. Takes a lot of communication.
Yeah, this is the especially interesting aspect because Waggle is already making to Weaver while being level 12. You can tell that he's trying to go through as fast as possible. Maybe he didn't land on the ability that he wanted to land on because of all the confusion, and now is just opted to get through the content, get to the bandits, kill Weaver, while Goratha's XPing a little bit more and doing the bulk of the hard progression while Goratha does the majority of the running.
What I would have liked to have seen was Goratha just keep running until like the end of second phase and then portaling in. Maybe they didn't want to take that risk, but I feel like he left his zone a little bit early there, and he still had some running to do. So maybe both players are going to go over to the other zone now, utilizing the portals. And are we just going to see Waggle be waiting in town a little bit, or is he going to start his next? It looks like he's heading back to Western, probably heading over to Alira then. So trying not to get too much downtime.
I do believe that they've opted for Waggle to be the one to run riverways and everything, and that's why they are a little bit off sync. They're basically, most teams typically in the past would sync up on Weaver and Fidelitas while also having levels. However, Waggle has sacrificed the levels to be able to be synced up on Alira instead. So this is really showing the high level of communication that they have. Ooh.
Yeah.
Is this a mistake from Waggle? You do have to talk to Alira so that she would be one player tagged with the other player coming into the zone. Is he waiting? Does he not know? Was this changed? What's going on?
Not sure.
You don't have to be present on Fidelitas.
What,
Oh, there we go. Who talks to her right before Goratha enters. That way she can be one player tagged and they can kill her twice as fast.
Very nice little piece of information there. He just gets it just in time. Maybe he heard your casting there.
Possibly, hopefully not. I do believe that the players do have their sound cancellation headphones equipped in the arena.
They're in their soundproof boxes with the noise cancelling headphones as well.
Absolutely. Wearing their astronaut suit jersey things. As you should.
We are seeing some achievements from Waggle. A couple of players are playing on fresh accounts just so they don't have to worry about the stashes at all. But getting those achievements is nice little boost to your ego as you go there. I feel like you've really achieved something during this race.
Yeah, honestly, so far this has been incredibly impressive the way they synced up. You do not have to be present for the Fidelitas kill, so they honestly synced up perfectly. Both players do need to pick up the Baleful gem, so that was a incredibly impressive display. And like I mentioned, they are known to be one of the top group racers. So, woof.
I would just like to point out, Goratha just crafted a pretty nice bow, but decent whack cold damage, but also found Sadima's Touch, which have a huge amount of elemental damage to attacks,
Oh,
lightning
wow,
and fire damage. So he's going to be just smashing it as far as well, as far as a ranger is concerned. That's good ranger damage right there.
And the quantity, he's ready for those burial chambers. Absolutely.
Gonna be doing a little bit of magic fun in the race. It can't hurt. Tagging Creighton there and going in for a very, very fast Creighton kill. Creighton's HP is just flying down, and players just dominating the exiles there.
Yeah, I'm honestly quite surprised that despite everything, he dies quite fast because Fire Trap approach. It's about half the damage of a explosive trap, but Waggle is basically stuck using this one. Oh, okay, they're helping him. Absolutely, that's absolutely.
Yeah.
So their single target is pretty impressive, honestly, with Goratha probably doing the bulk of the damage with that newly found weapon.
Which is not what you'd expect when you're talking about a Shadow versus a Ranger here, but that's going to be some pretty spicy damage there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we can see that Freeq is using Whirling Blades, and honestly, it's pretty impressive. I believe he didn't have a portal scroll. Or he made it all the way to Fidelitas, and now he's back. I don't know if he died or if he didn't have
see a death. It might have been a bit of a miscommunication, maybe. I think he might have forgotten to drop the portal scroll for his teammate, so I had to run back to put the portal down. Otherwise, his teammate would have to run all of the zones. So I think he was just backtracking a little bit. Right. So yeah, a bit of an actual just error there, just a straight up error there, costing the team a little bit of extra time where he could have been running something else at that point. And with them being about 2 steps behind at this point, making mistakes like that does not help.
That's pretty major. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised. Maybe Don did end up being the player with the higher level over Freeq after the Mervo kill because, yeah, typically you would want the higher level player to be going to the left zone and approaching Weaver like mentioned before, which is basically what they did. So he must have been higher level. However, now they're extremely dependent on Don getting this kill done as fast as possible.
Oh, and it's not going well. He's going very low to Weaver there.
Oof, manning up, going in. Oh, decides to portal out. Hopefully he's got more. Oh, he's got 5 portals. Okay. That's a pretty good score right there.
He needs to share those portals around because apparently the reason why Freeq had to backtrack was because he did not have a portal scroll, and that's a big mistake in a team race because portal scroll management is huge for a team race. You're actually using a lot more portals than usual to like portal over to your teammate, drop portals for your teammate. A lot of extra portaling going on in general. Extra Quicksilver drop though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, this is going to be interesting. We're going to be seeing either alternating strategy from Don and Freeq, or they're... What is Freeq doing?
Not sure why he's going back. Did he accidentally move his portal and before Don had a chance to get... I think he's rerunning the zone again. That is just brutal.
Did he log out or...
I think he went to go join Don for the Weaver kill, moved his portal as a result. I thought he used the waypoint in Bridge, but apparently not. I think he might have portaled and moved his portal so Don couldn't get to Chamber of Sin, so he has to run it a third time.
Maybe that's what they're thinking, that Freeq's sort of progression is a little bit irrelevant now, and it's primarily up to Don trying to get the left side of Act 2 done as fast as possible. As long as Don makes it to Oak in the time that Freeq makes it over to Creighton, this should be absolutely fine. But they are switching it up. Okay, they are making some adjustments here. Very good.
Yeah, that seems like the right strategy. While Don is doing the the back progression that he needs to get done, Freeq can swap him over. I did see a little bit of portal scroll sharing the waypoint there, so they're getting that resource management under control, which is crucial as well.
So we're probably will be seeing Freeq running the ruins while Don is going to be running a Lyra. Freeq doesn't drop a portal at Oak. I believe he's out of resources again. What is going on here? There is a lot of miscommunication.
He did just pick up 2 extra portal scrolls, so he should be alright. But a little bit of little bit of awkward back and forth there. There might not have been in a party then when they were trying to portal to each other. Not exactly sure how that happened. But yeah, party races are very difficult to manage. They require a lot of communication and practice as well. It's difficult for players to practice. I mean, you got to get both players together at the same time. Like you said, there hasn't been any team races for a long time as well. So this is going to be definitely blowing the rust out for some of these players here.
Yeah, we can also see a very interesting strategy from Waggle and Goratha here. They're on a pretty good pace, and they have opted to do the strategy that a lot of players do in Act 1, which is both running the main set of the content, and whichever player gets there first, the better, as they are now both running the caverns leading up to Ancient Pyramid, with Waggle being the first one to find it. Therefore, Goratha logs off, probably goes back to farming since Waggle can do the bulk of the running now.
I love that. You got that zone that can be like a race breaker, and you can just split up and try and find the exit. And it's like, well, whoever gets the exit first, portal us across.
Yeah, and that's what they do again. They split up again with seeing whichever player can get over to Vaal as fast as possible and have the other player TP in, as it is very easy because all they need to do is click the ball for the boss to be tagged.
I love that, like, beautiful synergy, kind of watching synchronized swimming or something happen here as they go off in different directions at the same time. Very cool to see.
Ooh. We can see Goratha and, Don and Freeq definitely syncing up a lot better now, sharing resources. It does seem like they have a plan, with Don trading Freeq for some portal scrolls and Freeq running for the oak kill.
Very nice.
Very nice.
It is worth pointing out that we are going to each winning team is going to be moving on to the semi-finals, but there will be a losers bracket to where the fastest time losers from the first 3 races will have a chance to compete in a final race today to make it into the semis. So there could be a second chance depending on their actual time.
Yep, exactly so. So even if they are on the losing end of this, the better they do here, the higher the chance they can make it over through the losers bracket. But as we do have 3 races for the main bracket, only 2 teams are going to be making it over to the losers one. So we're going to be seeing how this turns out, as Waggle and Goratha are already fighting Vaal on a ridiculously good pace and pretty good damage too.
It looks like I'm going to be taking down Vaal here before Vaal gets a chance to summon any more ads. Vaal goes into a couple ice phases, decides to go for a walk, but gets destroyed. With Waggle
Vaal won't
and
be
Goratha.
walking anywhere today.
Yeah, not anymore. He's not even supposed to in the first place, but there he goes. No more walking. Goratha and Waggle securing first place very handily, very nicely done from them this race. Just very nicely in sync. Looked like they had great communication and done some good practice as well. Didn't really see any major errors from them in terms of like how they were approaching splitting up and combining resources and things like that. Went very smoothly.
Yeah, it was especially interesting because they did go for the some might consider risque strategy in Act 1, with only one of the players progressing while the other one leveling up, so that they have that better split in Act 2. However, if they would have ended up with the layouts, for instance, that Freeq has ended up, that might have costed them a lot. Unfortunately, Freeq did go for the same strategy as the other players because they did have Dawn on a little bit of a delay, and that hurt them a lot. So, very unfortunate circumstances, honestly.
At this point, it'll be them trying to get the best time possible so that they could potentially move on into those losers brackets. Like you said, they're starting to sync up a little bit better now, and we do have Freeq coming in to break the ancient seal first. So
yeah,
we might
and they're going for the risky strat too, where neither one of the players are farming, neither one of them are powering up, and instead both of them are trying to progress as fast as possible, just seeing how they can get to Vaal in the shortest amount of time.
Seems like a reasonable approach in this race. I mean, Vaal himself is not a particularly dangerous boss. Tomorrow we'll have Azara kills, so players will need to be a lot more prepared by the time to get to the boss. But Vaal, you can push through that fight a little bit easier.
Don
getting
dropped a
chased.
little bit low there, but he's fine. He knows that all he needs to do is maybe pick up the waypoint, get those Quicksilver charges back, and just get back in it. while yeah, Waggle and Goratha are just kind of chilling out. I think they should be pretty happy with their time overall. Some players might be looking at this, having seen other top racers in the past compete in these sort of solo events, and they can tell, oh wow, 30 minutes and 44 seconds. That's not that impressive of a time. I've seen people do better solo. Well, yeah, but you have to keep in mind that there are mobility skill bans. So this was on a Ranger and a Shadow using Rain of Arrows and Fire Trap without Flame Dash or Blink Arrow, which will heavily impact your time in an Act 2 race.
Yeah, it's very good to point out. No movement skills at all for Team 1, but still
Yep.
managing to put together a very respectable time with the teamwork action coming into
Ooh!
play there. Don's going very low
Freeq!
again, getting chased. Oh, and Freeq does go down as
Freeq
well,
gets
too.
blown up by squids. I'm not sure if those were otherworldly, but he simply went in and instantly dropped dead. That was incredibly unfortunate, but like I mentioned, these players will be under-leveled and quite underpowered because of the strategy of trying to get there over as fast as possible, especially since they probably already have the news that they are a little bit behind.
I am very curious as to what exactly got Freak there. It looks like he was surrounded by a pack of blue squids, and there's a couple degen bears
Yeah,
nearby. Might have taken some big hits from those
it was
degen
just
bears.
squids.
Just the
No, it was
squids.
just straight up just 5 squids hit him at the same time and he just blew up. Okay, maybe it was
There's
like 20 squids. It's a Spirit Walker pack.
it is Spirit
Maybe it
Walkers.
was a
There's a
little bit
lot.
more than 5.
There's a lot of squids right there. Still though,
Yeah.
going down to squids, that's got to sting just a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Those
Doesn't
little,
even pick
those
up the
little suckly
waypoint.
tentacles.
Yeah, absolutely so.
Okay.
I mean, this is a little bit different because typically you would be a level 14 or so when running Vaal kill and the solo kill. I did think that players are going to be going for a little bit higher level, but honestly, Freeq is just 15. And I don't mean he is 15 in real life, but also in game he is only level 15, and you know that's gonna create a lot of risk. You can see that even those squids that typically don't create much danger for players over here, despite his perfect usage of whirling blades, you know he died really fast.
when you're only 15 years old, these things present a threat. I would just like to point out though, 16 in May, by the way. Though.
Okay, so apologies. Did not mean to disregard my brother from another mother, another Polish rat in the ranks. You know, displaying our pride over here. And overall, I would say that Freeq has been quite unlucky, but when it comes to strategies, I'm not sure if the other racers are watching, but in my opinion, the strategy that Don and Poland have gone for was the superior one, honestly. Things didn't quite work out for them. They had a lot of miscommunication, unfortunately, both having played individually quite well, but it did cost them in the end, as now Freeq makes it over to Vaal, tags it up with Dawn coming in, take care of the final boss.
Yeah, it would be really nice to see potentially in another team race in the future these guys pulling off their strategies cleanly without the upsets that they had at the start of the race here.
Mm,
Because I think
yeah.
it could be pretty good.
Yeah,
Very
that's the
fast
thing,
Valkyrie.
right? If you're tilted, if you're having internet problems, or
Oh, yeah.
as in the case of Dawn, uh, absolute just electricity outage, that's gonna get to you. And yeah, this isn't your regular solo race that players will be used to. In a team race, syncing up the way Goratha and Waggle did is not only incredibly difficult, but it takes a lot of communication and effort.
They do get the kill there in the end.
Mm.
We'll have to double check their time a bit because I think the time will start a little bit late there for Freeq, so we can see if that will come into play for them to potentially move on to the Blizzard's brackets. But we won't be finding on until the final rounds. But congratulations to Goratha and Waggle for winning. They have guaranteed they're moving on to the semi-finals, and we'll see how Freeq and Don go in terms of potentially getting a rerun in the final race today. So
Yeah, I'm sure having been knocked out to the losers bracket now, Freeq and Dawn are going to be discussing some strategies and hopefully preparing for the possible comeback depending on how the other brackets will go.
just getting an updated brackets here right now. And there we go. So coming up next will be Ventura and Dead and Doom versus Gucci Pradas and SF Hobbit, short for Stupid Fat Hobbit, I think.
Yeah, it's Stupid Fat Hobbit, the creator of the Stupid Fat Hobbit filter. My personal preference when it comes
Classic.
to your racing and leveling needs. Absolute champ. But yeah, this is interesting. You know, Dead and Doom and Ventura. These are two of the, in my opinion, stronger players throughout the entire tournament. Having seen them team up now against Gucci Prada's a little bit of a legend of the past. A lot of people remember Gucci to be one of the top racers. But he hasn't been performing that well recently. But he's definitely been motivated and picking up the pace with Hobbit being a decent racer a long time ago, and I've seen that he's been practicing recently, so we'll be seeing. The biggest strength, I think, when it comes to all of this is that Dead and Doom was part of the famous Team Europe, who has overtaken the NA players a long time ago when it came to team racing, and that's definitely going to be showing with Ventura. I believe having a little bit less experience when it comes to team racing, but Gucci Pradas is one of the grandfathers overall when it comes to racing, and he's attracted many racers over a long period of time. Me being one of them, actually. If it wasn't for Gucci, I probably would have never gotten into racing. So he definitely knows his strategy. He always was the shot caller in our team. So, whew, if he can lead Hobbit to victory, that's going to be interesting to see.
Should be a very spicy race, and as far as motivation is concerned, Ventura and Dead and Doom are a team to beat. Would consider that to be very motivating. But we're going to be having picks and bans in about 2 minutes, so we're going to be taking a short 1-minute break, and then we'll be going into the picks and bans for the next race. So we shall see you guys in just a moment.
Absolutely. See you guys soon.